I should be good. Say something, Cam.
Blah, 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 blah.
There we go. Good. I was just making sure I had your audio feeding into OBS. I had to do a wardrobe change for the illusion that it's Tuesday morning.
Right.
Or Tuesday afternoon.
Because you recorded Monday earlier.
Yeah, well, I did Monday's show on Monday, and this is Tuesday's show right now.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't want to wear the same shirt, but, you know, the illusion's gone already anyways. Welcome to the Daily Cup of Genre, everybody, the show where we get to talk about, you know, anything and everything in entertainment, geek, and pop culture. It's part of the big LRM Online family, so make sure you check out lrmonline.com every day for all of your entertainment news, needs, and opinions. And, of course, the show is sponsored by the good folks over at Grow Generation. A little bit more from them later in the episode. We're available wherever you get podcasts from. You're listening to us on an app, hit the follow or subscribe button on that app, and then of course the GenreVerse YouTube channel where you can look at our faces. I mean, I was gonna say great or handsome, but you know,
but I'm here.
Yeah, anyways, I'm Kyle Malone, and Cam Clark is joining me today, fresh off of vacation or holiday, as they like to say over there. How was it, Cam? What'd you do, man?
Just chilled out, unwound for a few days, you know, just spent time with the family, unplugged, caught up in various TV programs and stuff at night time when I was just sitting in my own, you know, so that was good. Watched a lot of things that are kind of out there at the moment streaming. Was writing about that today, you know, just kind of all the things I've seen, watched a couple of movies while we were away, you know, that sort of thing as well.
What'd you get? What shows did you get all caught up on?
Caught up on Stranger Things 4. Watched the finale of that. Got caught up on Miss Marvel so far. Caught up on and watched all of Umbrella Academy season 3.
Oh. Did you enjoy that one? I was
it was
really
all right.
curious about that one.
I mean, I think a lot of the fan base didn't seem to like season 3 so much. It was odd. Some of the things that I've kind of heard people saying about it. Kind of things I thought were endemic to the show anyway in season 1 and season 2, you know, that so it kind of was just more of the same for me, to be honest.
Okay.
You know? Yeah,
cool.
That was good.
Right.
Nothing special.
What blew you out of the water recently? Like people talking up the boys. I know some talking. Go ahead.
So I've not seen The Boys yet. That's one I've not seen yet. I've been waiting for it. So it's just finished, and I was kind of everything else was more complete at that point, or I had already started it. So kind of haven't had time for The Boys yet. So that's kind of this week's task, if you like. If I get enough free time to watch it all, we'll see.
It was pretty decent. And tomorrow for Tuesday, people, not you and I, but on Wednesday, we've got Miss Marvel's finale coming up, and I'm worried about that one, man. Have you been watching Miss Marvel?
Yeah, I think I think I just finished the most recent one sort of last night. So yeah, I almost kind of was surprised to hear it was a finale, because it feels like there's kind of, we're not ready for a finale yet almost.
No.
Like this, you know, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. And I've enjoyed Miss Marvel, but you know, as it's opened up it took a while to open up the story, but then as it is, it feels like it's too open so far to close it all back shut again, if that makes sense. So we're interested to see how it all kind of finishes up and how things lead into, obviously, the Marvels as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see. But it's been okay so far, but like everything else, you need to wait for the finale and judge it all as kind of one whole, if you like. I think what's better with these Marvel shows.
Yeah, for me it was really like it started out doing its own thing with the kids, you know, kid problems, cultural issues, and then superhero stuff, and that was all good and great. The whole backstory that we've had to deal with for you know about episode and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Really should have been, I think, told over like phone conversations with the grandma leading up to a trip to Karachi and everything that happens then, because it just like it slowed everything down.
I get that. I get
so
why
much.
I kind of like it, but that's why I kind of feel like we needed maybe a couple of episodes more to build back up again to a finale rather than, you know, going straight into one, because I liked it and I didn't mind the fact that it slows down for a couple of episodes, because it doesn't have to be all, you know, but because it was an interesting story that was being explored, but it just feels like we're nowhere near ready for the end game of this series at this point, and that does make me worry that they're just going to horn in some kind of battle, a couple of explanations, and boom, off she goes to be a superhero.
Yeah, we've heard that this series had some issues and needed some reshoots, and I think there's some areas where I could point to, especially in like conversation pieces and a couple of fights where it's like, yeah, it looks like a reshoot. Like you were in the same place in this scene, but here you're in front of a computer screen. I hope it all comes together well, because everyone's been pretty damn good in the series so far. Like as far as the three, Cameron, Kamala, and her friend, they keep jokingly calling him Brian. What is his? What is his? Byron or some? I don't know what it is. Bruno. There it is.
Bruno. That's it. Bruno.
Yeah. They've all been great. Like that whole group of them have been
as well,
and they've been lots of fun. So that was kind of the appeal. It was very much Spider-Man, you know, Homecoming ish, you know, Far From Home ish. It was very much like that, and I dug it. And I'm not against the backstory at all. It's been like you said, interesting. Just you guys needed to do something, because going into the finale, you're just kind of like, without spoiling anything, really, what's the big, you know, we kind of see something that leads us to think who the big bad is going to be or remain, but you're going to explain all of that, like motivation and the transfer and all, like,
I mean, it's a 60-minute episode, but that's not really been Marvel's style so far.
No,
so
not at all.
Oh yeah, I think I probably echo your thoughts on that. So it's not so much I wish they'd cut it down. I think maybe they needed to give this one a couple more episodes, but we'll see what happens next week and take it from there.
Yeah, that's what. I had asked Manny this. About. Sorry, I kind of scared myself for a second. I thought I had it recorded, but I did. I'm good. I had the backup going for certain anyways, but I had asked Manny, we were talking about Thor's box office take, and we had kind of looked at you know, Multiverse of Madness did like 183, and Thor did this, you know, 143, which is respectable. And I think actually the Multiverse was like 187, not 183. And then we talked about Homecoming, or not Homecoming, but No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, and kind of were like, you know, without a nostalgia draw, can movies do as well right now, or is nostalgia driving everything? And it reminded me of a conversation I had on Breaking Geek, a point I think I'd posted to the hosts over there about Top Gun 3, and they're like, no, there's not going to be a Top Gun 3. And lo and behold, because money talks, you know, Miles Teller said that there's been some conversations about Top Gun 3, about a potential sequel. And kind of same question to you, man. Like, at first it was all this superhero movies, but now it's all about the the big nostalgia drive from what we see in the comic book movies, Multiverse of Madness promising the return of Charles Xavier, and you have No Way Home, of course, having, Spider-Man and villains from the past Sony garbage, and you have all these other movies that kind of either they're their own thing or they continue the franchise like normal without dipping into the past, and they're what do you think's going on, man? And what do you feel about Top Gun 3?
Well, I mean, Hollywood will always be Hollywood, and that means traditionally it was if something did well, make sequels until it stops doing well, and then you stop, right?
Yeah.
And in some ways, yes, there is a bit of a nostalgia kick going on right now. We've seen that a hell of a lot recently. Ghostbusters, Spider-Man No Way Home, and they've done okay.
Scream.
Yeah.
Halloween.
One can argue maybe, Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of falls into,
Kenobi
100%. Of kind of
100%
coming into that nostalgia side of things. And even Mandalorian's touched on that a little bit as well. So there is absolutely an element of that, cameos and appearances and surprises. And I think that the problem is it will be fleeting, right? Because they will run it. I mean, Hollywood will always find ways to regurgitate ideas. It used to be reboot, rebrand, repackage, push out. Yep. Now it's multiverse, and let's bring in these nostalgic characters back, because it's the current trend at the moment. But eventually it won't be the trend anymore. And what will be left is the stories that have meant the most to people. And this is where it comes down to whether it works or not. And we've both said this before. Spider-Man No Way Home worked. Did Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? I liked the movie, but the cameos were just cameos,
Yeah, and hell, it turns out most of those were in reshoots. If you take within context of what the dude that played Black Bolt was talking about, he said none of them filmed their crap anywhere near together.
Yeah.
It's all composite shots, and yeah.
And I was kind of there as a surprise. We all kind of knew about it so already, which maybe that's kind of weird. Maybe if it just been we didn't know much about Multiverse of Madness, there was no hint of sort of cameos or alternate universes until maybe we saw that other Doctor Strange, and then they'd kept it really, really secret. Maybe it works better as well. That was really, really out there and cool. But we all kind of knew what we were getting going in. And therefore, it was just kind of like, oh, here's the bit where they turn up. Oh, yeah, there's the bit where Wanda kills them. Okay, move on. That's not what the movie was about. So the question with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is, does the movie stand up without? You take them out completely, does it stand up? Yeah, it stands up. It's not awful. It's not as if, that's what the entire movie revolved around, because most of the alt-universe people are Strange himself, Wanda, other Wong's Mordo, strange characters, rather than kind of these more sort of nostalgic ones.
Yeah, you didn't have variant of Cap, with Evans's face. You didn't have
remember they were talking about that, like there was going to be. Remember there was all these rumors that there was going to be Tom like a Cruise, Hydra version of Cap. There was going to be a Tom Cruise version, and I think
Iron Man.
I have no doubt that there was conversations around that at Marvel, thinking about going all out like that. But if that's all your movie is, you don't really have a movie anymore. It's just an advert for cameos. And then you start to go, I want to see the what if version of Tom Cruise as Iron Man. Bring Tom Cruise back as the new Iron Man, and you start getting into, I think, more issues than what you solve.
Look at the whole thing John Krasinski's Reed brought into this, and people that were trying to argue like, no, you don't understand, like that's all these others Strange, they look the same. And then it's like, okay, the Peters, well, that's Sony's thing. Okay, Loki, shit. Yeah, like, my biggest thing with Marvel themselves, since we're just kind of talking about them, kind of got off the just nostalgia thing, is the multiverse was spun as the next big thing, and yet we went through Loki with that having next to no visible influence on anything after, to No Way Home with no visible effects for anything after, and then Multiverse of Madness, which for the most part by the end of that movie there's nothing.
It's all connecting into Kang at some point, but what is the...
I know, but you're gonna have that big thing go down in the Ant-Man movie with no other,
maybe
like,
that won't
signs.
be the big thing. Maybe that'll just be the next step that explains how the rest of the things fit in together. Or Loki season 2 will explain how that fits in together.
Maybe.
The problem is, I think they all kind of shy away from being the one that kind of explains everything and connects everything together. And kind of we just kind of wanted to do our own thing, and this is our style, and this is what we wanted to do it, which is fine. But, as I've heard you guys talking about in Breaking Geek and various other chats that we've had, that, a lot of people are just wondering what's kind of next, what's it building towards, like Infinity War. I don't know. I'm just taking each Marvel film as it good, was entertained, and move on. There's nothing really coming out that's an absolute classic. There's been very few films that have really, stood up and have said, wow, that was really, really good. Maybe No Way Home's the only one that really sits up there amongst all the Phase 4 movies right now. And then we have so many shows as well. It's getting harder and harder to fit everything in together, give everybody their own space and time. It almost feels like they're building towards several different climaxes now. It's not one thing. There's different things going on. Like the Thunderbolts thing feels like one avenue. The supernatural side feels as if it's going somewhere in another way. And then we've got the multiverse stuff and Kang all happening as well. And then we've got more new characters to get introduced, so we've got the whole Echo, Daredevil, and Kingpin all coming back into that. How's that all going to fit together on the street level side? Then we bring in Fantastic Four, and rumours are we've got Nova coming, and there's going to be ultimately a new Guardians team going to have to appear at some point. There's a lot of churn at the moment in the MCU as we move forward, and it almost kind of feels like they're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks to focus on going forward.
That's what I would kind of point at being the other side of the problem is maybe I wouldn't care as much about, God, you guys, we go from this awesome connected thing to this allegedly connected thing that you guys really aren't connecting much. I could forgive it if so many of the projects just weren't mediocre. They're. I mean,
there's been a quality drop, and I think one of the reasons for that is we've had a roster change of characters, and it takes time to build those characters up again. Some of the new guard that have been brought in haven't really set the world alight yet.
But we've had stuff like, and not all of these are bad quality, but by any means, I'm just gonna name characters that are from at least like Phase 2, and you've got Sam and Bucky, you've got Wanda, you've got Black Widow, of course, going all the way back to the beginning. You've got Miss Marvel's new, but Spider-Man goes back, Doctor Strange goes back, Phase 2. You've got that might have been Phase 3, but you got characters still like. We've got a whole bunch of
part of the OG Avengers, if you like. Almost
exactly.
If they were part of the team in Infinity War and Endgame, then they're still there. But you kind of feel like Hawkeye's being phased out. That's the feeling you got from his show. That maybe Jeremy Renner's saying, I'm too old for this shit now, to be honest with you. And they've kind of went with the hearing thing as maybe a way to phase him out and bring in the new generation. And there does seem to be a very much, of the old guard bringing in new generations. But it's almost like as we get new people in, there's someone else underneath them that could come to there seems this conveyor belt ready of people that are going to come up as heroes. When you think of all the kid versions that we've got out there now, you've got Love, you've got Kate Bishop, you've got Kid Loki, you've got the Wonder Twins. Is that what they call
Wonder
them?
Twins?
No, that's not the... What's it?
God damn.
What's
Wanda's kids?
Wanda's kids,
yeah, Speed and Wiccan.
Who else have we got? The potential Patriot that
Marvel.
showed up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Miss Marvel.
But, again, it would be nice to see some of that coming together. And like with Wanda's kids and stuff like that, man, we don't know jack crap gonna ever come of them ever again. I mean, no one would have thought we wouldn't have even mentioned Vision in Multiverse of Madness, essentially. Like, man, it's rough,
where is Vision? Because there's still a white Vision kicking about, so there are so many loose threads that, it's getting harder and harder for the general audience to pick it up. I think you just kind of almost have to, at the moment with Marvel, switch your brain off at the door, see what they put out in front of you and go, okay, this is a new this, now this is a new reality we're in. And of course you get extreme tonal shifts sometimes between films in terms of the impact and seriousness of things. Like when you look at tonally, just Eternals versus Thor: Love and Thunder, right?
Or Thor unable to balance its own tones. Like, I'm not saying necessarily Taika wanted to, but someone should have balanced some of that.
I kind of think Love and Thunder worked, but I do get why some people wouldn't think that. But I kind of like the tonal shifts, and it kind of just made me think of normal Taika Waititi, to be honest. So if you like his way of doing things, I guess you're kind of more appreciative of. That's all I would say. But I completely understand why it's not for everyone.
I watch What We Do in the Shadows like religiously. That is an amazing. It starts again today, so I'm super stoked about that.
Sometimes style is to something we would moan about, like plot wise. He won't worry too much about that sometimes, because he would rather get to the heart of it, which is like an emotional beat or the humour in a situation that shouldn't particularly necessarily be funny, which is one of the kind of key things he tends to do. I don't know, but I mean, I thought it was a better movie than Multiverse of Madness. I didn't dislike Multiverse of Madness. I haven't really disliked any Marvel movie in Phase 4. But the only one that I've kind of went out at the cinema going, wow, kind of a little bit is No Way Home. And that was more my surprise that they actually managed to make it work. Because it kind of almost felt like it shouldn't work, that movie, but it did.
Definitely. I haven't watched a single Phase 4 film twice, not one of them.
No, I wouldn't say I have either. I can't think of one if I have. No, but then
that makes me sad.
Outside of Infinity War and Endgame, I didn't exactly watch them all twice running up to that as well. But what I would say is, like, for example, Ragnarok I've watched 2 or 3 times. If it is that elite level, I'll have watched it 2 or 3 times. But there's a lot of Marvel movies I have only watched maybe once or twice again if it was on in passing or something. I'm not really one to say I'll sit and watch all the Marvel movies again. It's too much.
Definitely, I don't have to watch them all in order or anything like that. But let's take a quick word from our sponsors over at Grow Generation. Come back and talk about something else.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. Grow Generation offers the best deals and discounts on the best grow products on the market. Grow Generation serves customers across the nation and carries a wide inventory of renowned cultivation brands. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
I almost started the show instead of starting from the ad break. Thank you, Grow Generation, for sponsoring the episode. Appreciate it. Link down in the description box below. Cam, speaking of nostalgia, it doesn't just exist in TV and movies. It also exists in video games. I'm guilty of it as well.
Yeah,
I did a reaction to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the second game in the remake series, and I'm super stoked about that. But
we can't wait to see whatever the new BioShock game is. We both are excited for that.
BioShock, yeah.
You know, so.
But we got some gameplay reveals and for a RoboCop game called RoboCop Rogue City, as well as an untitled Terminator.
At the moment, it's just called Terminator Survival Project, which it's not going to be its final name. But that's its kind of working name at the moment, and that gives you an idea of what it is. It's a survival game.
Yeah. Were you a RoboCop fan? Because
I was. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so of course, Terminator and RoboCop we used to have conversations in the playground about who would win in a fight between RoboCop and Terminator and stuff like that. I was always Team Terminator, but RoboCop was cool. Yeah.
I kind of missed out on RoboCop. I was big into Alien, big into Predator. I was big into Terminator, especially after T2. I never really got into RoboCop.
It was very violent, so you maybe had to be a certain age. By the time you were that age,
my dad showed me Hamburger Hill when I was like 5-6 years old. Yeah. So
I mean, I think with RoboCop came out in '87, and I must have seen it in like '87, and I'd have been like 9. You know what I mean? 10. So we watched that shit right to the start, and we thought it was amazing as kids, to be honest. Whether it holds up, I don't know, but certainly it was a franchise that I lost any kind of geekdom with, because the sequels were all extremely poor from that point on, and the TV series was crap, and it was just all crap upon crap from there on. But that original movie really did have something about it, and there was a bit of potential there.
What do you think about the game, man? This first person shooter game.
It looks cool. I mean, I like the idea that you get, it's that fantasy of I mean, I remember playing the old RoboCop game. I don't know if you remember the 2D shooter that you walked along as RoboCop.
Yep.
That I remember playing that in the arcades, and it was like the hottest game at the time. So the idea of being able to use his targeting system and all that, in terms of what we saw in the gameplay trailer, it looks cool. It looks like they've got the world right, this gritty, crime-ridden Detroit. That all looks spot on. The fact they've got Peter Weller doing the voice, so the genuine original guy doing the voice. So it feels very much like this is a AAA title that somebody's put a bit of love and attention into. However, that remains to be seen, because, the little snippets of gameplay that we saw at this point, about a year from release, are not enough to kind of tempt me to go and buy the game yet. For example, that targeting system kind of looks cool, like when you see it in the trailer. But you imagine having to target like that every time you want to take a shot on an FPS, because the human eye is far faster than that. So,
I run into that like speed issue playing first-person shooters anyways, especially TF2. I play sniper a lot, and just I was no sniper. I was not I was an engineer. I did use my weapons though, and I could definitely go from my ACOG, sight to taking my eyes off of it to move or whatever a hell of a lot faster than you can in a game. And it gets annoying when you're just like, no, I know it should move faster. Everything would move faster. Why am I having to move so slow?
That will always be the same in any game. Like, any racing driver will never get the feel for a driving game as much as good as the driving game is, and how much you simulate it. It will never feel like the real thing. And that will
not without those rigs, those racing rigs.
it depends how they set up the gameplay loop for it all. You know, like we would expect to be harder than the majority of the people we're fighting and almost mowing them down kind of thing until we get, you know, like Ed 209 shows up, who's somebody that can absolutely tear you apart. You know, maybe like a boss character. So is it just going to be some generic, you know, we go through some linear levels, we kill people, you know, that are committing crimes, or is it going to be some more open world first person where there's a proper story going on and there's crimes and side missions that you can do? Again, remains to be seen. So until we get more about it, I don't know what to say about it. But so far it looks cool, but
got some potential.
It could still be absolute trash at this point. You know, you just don't know.
The last Survivor style game that I really play was like the Left 4 Dead stuff, and I don't even really consider that like when you hear survival now, I'm thinking of like co-op Survivor. At least I'm thinking of like the Dead by Daylight or whatever it's called. So I actually haven't looked at this Terminator thing at all until now. What do you think? What do you think of it
from
as
the reveal trailer? Because there's not any gameplay. I mean, all you really see is a door opening and a Terminator walking in, and somebody's hiding from it. So I think the idea that I'm implying here is that you're going to be playing somebody who's hunted by the Terminator, and that you will have to survive to whatever end for however long. And most of the time, I'm thinking, like, have you ever played, even if you've not played it, have you seen a little bit of Alien Isolation?
Seen it. I haven't played it.
It's a phenomenal game, right? It's absolutely phenomenal, but I couldn't finish it, right? Because it just wasn't relaxing enough for me after a day at work. You sit home at night. I didn't want to have the tension that high while I'm sitting in front of the couch playing it, because it is just absolutely fantastic the way they've structured it all. It's visually gorgeous. The way it works with the alien following you, it's really so well done. But it is tense when you're sitting playing it. Now, some people love that experience. I don't. So, you know, and it kind of almost feels like a bit of that's in there to me. You know, you can't kill the alien, you know, because you don't have the tools to do that in the Alien Isolation game. And it kind of feels like that you'll be in that situation with the Terminator until maybe you get to a very end point, and then you can crush it in something, or I don't know, like what Linda Hamilton did. But are we going to be like going across the country to get away from the Terminator, like booking into hotel rooms, like, you know, I'm thinking like the movie, or is this all going to be in some self-contained place, you know, that we're hiding in a structure from the Terminator? I mean, that, how do they make that work? That's where this could be, you know, interesting, or you know, kind of an Alien. You get the fact that it's in a space station, so you're limited, you know, and they use that environment to the effect that you can't just break out a window and go running. You just can't do that. How do you do that with Terminator?
Yeah. I brought up, you know, I mentioned those co-op survival games. I'm wondering if they would do something like that. Even Resident Evil had one of those where you got classes, a healer, brawler type, and usually, since it's a Terminator thing, it'll probably have like a hacker type character. Ghostbusters is going to be doing a team co-op game similar to that.
Have you ever played the kind of Friday the 13th game?
No,
you know,
I haven't.
That's a kind of like, it's one person plays Jason. And they have to kill everybody, and the rest of the people are like the campers, and you've got to run around, try and fix phones. Jason can, you know, has got to kill you all. If you get away by the end, they win and you've lost, and you know, and basically every kid just wants to go Jason and kill people. You know, that's the way it works. You know, maybe it could be something like that, but would it just be a case that everybody wants to go the Terminator?
Pretty much. I like your idea, comparing it to Alien Isolation. I mean, that was always like the fun part of Nemesis and Tyrant and Resident Evil. You know, that chase. It's very, very And why Metal Gear Solid is such a big thing with the sneaking around and the idea of survival and the idea that you can't just blow every problem away with a big gun, you know?
The problem is, so a game like Alien Isolation, most people just noped out of it once they tried it, and there was a lot of people like me who said, look, this is beautiful, it plays great, but it ain't for me, you know, because it's too tense. So I think sometimes you can go too far with it. If the game is more casual and can be broken up in chunks, maybe you can accept it more. You're like, died again, okay, reset. But like when you die in Alien Isolation, you're like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And it's just, something comes out the blue, you're like, can I make it to this corridor? And then something just pops at the ceiling at you, and you know, once the animation starts, you're done, you know, and that's it. Back to the last save checkpoint. Yeah. And the worst thing in Alien were these androids that chase you about, and you can't kill them either. They were freakazoids, man. So, you know, it's interesting, but, you know, will that work? Will it work for Terminator? And will that even be what they decide to do? We're going to have to wait until we see more of the game, you know, what it actually is.
Yep. 2023 is looking like the big year for a lot of things in entertainment and games, especially we talked about yesterday's on yesterday's Daily COG how E3 is going to be coming back in. Talking about how E3 is going to be coming back next year, and it's going to be bigger than it's been in a long time, because it hasn't happened in a long time. And gaming is
longer to make now as well.
Yeah, and we're going to be, in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to start seeing the effects of the subscription economy on those studios. You know, everyone else that's been, you know, things are still going fine. It's like, yeah, well, this is the first few years. A lot of games being made already had their money earmarked. Their budgets were already set, and it takes a few years before new budgets roll into the new projects and so on and so on. So the next 3 to 5 years for gaming, in my mind, are going to really show people how much the mobile gaming economy and way of doing things is going to affect consoles and PCs because of things like PlayStation Plus and Game Pass. And man, I'll tell you what, Ubisoft just shut down a whole bunch of their online games on online support. I think people might regret so much digital content that you don't necessarily have a hold on and a way to play
maybe
later.
I think it's going to depend on the games, because I think in the past we played a lot more single player games, or, you know, I mean general, not people specifically, because that might still be what some people are into. And if you're into single player games that, you know, you go back to again in 5 years and say, I want to experience that again, then game ownership absolutely is for you. But the way a lot of the gamers out there, they move through these trends, you know, so they all play a game together, and then when they go into these games, they spend money on them. That's the thing that you have to remember, Kyle. The kids out there buy these shitty skins and stuff like that, you know, like, I always hear it when my son goes, can I get £5 for this new thing on Overwatch, or what's the Modern Warfare one, the Warzone, you know, there's a new pack out, you get these guns and all that sort of stuff, and I'm like, man, it just rip money at you for these things, that's all it is. But that is how they're making their money back for this stuff, you know, or they're charging for each additional bit of content they bring out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I know what's going on and why it's going on, and I get you got to make money somehow, because you guys, you can't just give stuff away for free. Legitimately, that's not how it works. You cannot get more for less. And the idea of games with these long life cycles, because you got to make money off of it for as long as you possibly can, the loot boxes, the pay to win, the pay for content, not having to even get the whole game at first, just getting piecemeal, little bit by little bit, basically being unpaid beta testers. Like,
lots of games do that now. I hate that, but
I know.
Even some of the games I play, like I play Destiny 2 a lot, but if we look at where Destiny 2 was when it launched, it was a shell, and it's taken them all those years to fix it. But they still charge you for every DLC, every expansion that comes on top of it. Now, I'd say it's good value for money, but it's like taking the piss a bit when you think about what they were giving us for the same bucks in the past, while they really needed to get the shit together. And it's the fans that pay for that, and you'll lose fans that way, you'll lose a gamer base that way. But the thing is, as Destiny also proved, if you fix it and you give people what they want, they will come back again, and they'll start spending money in your game again.
We'll see how it goes. People might be 100% fine with mobile gaming as a service on consoles, but I would hope not. I would hope people would have better expectations. You know what? We'll wrap it up there, and we'll tell everyone, hey, go check out LRM Online, LRMonline.com every day for all of your entertainment news, needs, and opinions. Celebrity interviews, also available at the LRM Online YouTube channel. Gig Pata was out at the Disney Plus's Zombies 3 premiere. He's got a whole slew of interviews up for that. Written things on opinions and reviews to things, rumors, leaks, the whole nine. All of our podcasts you can access there, and they're available on any app that you can think of, from Google, Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud. Great shows besides the Daily Cup of Genre, like Anime-Versal Reviews, doing Classroom of the Elite Season 2 right now for our seasonal. Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, does weekly news and usually has a movie or show to review. Marvel Multiverse Mayhem does Marvel reviews and news in between shows, and the Cantina's the Star Wars version of that. Well, Marvel Mayhem is the Marvel version of the Cantina, because that was first, right, Cam? Damn right.
Yep.
And you guys can find all of those as well on the GenreVerse Podcast Network on YouTube, and along with the Genre Shot trailer reaction. So yeah, check all that out. Anything you want to say, Cam? Plug anything?
No. LRMonline.com. Come read some stories. Come check us out. See what you think. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, and what you'd like to see more of. That'd be great.
All right, guys. Bye.